Hey, it's September 14th. It's the 133 episode, 33rd episode, 33 episode. It's the 133rd episode of what could be the greatest show ever about risk. Now, we all know that that's not true, but that's a forward-looking statement. I hope it's a great show about risk. We have, I think, a very, very, very smart guest today. We're going to try to get Jason to call in about the market on Zoom because Jason is busy closing a deal. Jason is head of business development, global business development for one of our subsidiaries. So from time to time, his business keeps him up late dealing with China. And he was a busy boy today for DPW, Ault Global, as he took delivery of 1,000 miners that he arranged for us. And he is busy working diligently. So we hope to hear from Jason. Jeff, welcome to the show. I see you on the chat, Jeff Bombshell. I can tell there's a lot of people tuning in because Stephan Jackman is here. He is the CEO of Alzamend Neuro. I think, is this the first appearance you've made on any kind of broadcast since you went public?
Absolutely, yeah.
There you go. I'm honored that he's here. Skyla's here. Hey, say hi, Skyla.
Hi.
That was uneventful.
I know.
Thank you. Thank you so much for that. Hey, I will cover a couple things about the market real quick, and then we'll get right to Stephan Jackman. Obviously, the market was down 292 points. The Dow, 292.06. The S&P was down 25.68. The NASDAQ down 67.82. The Russell was down 30. The VIX is a little higher at 19.46. Jason and I have been saying for months, August, September, we're worried about the market. The numbers this morning were relatively better than expected. So the Dow sheds 290 points. The S&P is lower despite cooler inflation numbers. It's kind of anyone's guess here. Apple launches the new i13 with battery improvement and to keep sales momentum going. I kind of will tell you that I'm at a little bit of a loss. I have a short position in the triple Qs. I have a short position by buying long the S triple Qs, which are 3 times leveraged the NASDAQ 100. I have a short position in the Dow by owning the puts, and a few other short positions. But for the most part, I'm obviously net long, but I still think the market's pretty heavy. This is probably, depending on how big the sell-off is, if it continues, I don't know if it will. It'll probably be a healthy sell-off, in my opinion, something that is actually needed. And so hopefully if Jason can come on, he can give us his commentary about positions he's seeing. I saw that Eni and a few other things have pulled back. But this is a show about Alzamend. And really, when I founded the company 5 or 6 years ago, the number one goal that I had was for Alzamend to get a drug into human beings. Stephan Jackman, when he was hired as the CEO, he told me, Todd, I will get the drug into human beings. And he did that last Friday. They dosed the first patients. We announced that on Monday. Alzamend announced it on Monday. I'm not going to comment on the stock because I think it's complete nonsense about where it's trading. Clearly, people that were part of the founders round and all the earlier investors had a big run when it went to $30, $33, and they're clearly selling, which is their right to do that. They own it at a lot lower levels, Stephan, right?
Absolutely, yes.
But let's focus on the massive accomplishment that you've had, the very thing that I asked you to do when you became the CEO, the most important thing, and that is you have AL001 in patients. Let's talk about that accomplishment. How did you get that to happen? Where do you think about it happening? What's it feel like for you? I know this is a major milestone, and frankly, I don't think people understand the power of the first drug, AL001. They don't understand that it's a co-crystal lithium, that it really has a lot of uses. I was with one of your board members, Andy, a neurologist out of Santa Monica, and he was telling me he thought it could be used for MS patients for inflammation. So I'm really excited about it. What do you think about being in patients?
Well, first of all, let's talk about where we started from in the first place. We have the inventors of both of our therapeutics. We have AL001 and AL002. Both of the inventors, their parents, suffered from Alzheimer's and passed away from it. We have you, the founder of the organization. Your mother-in-law passed away from it, succumbed to Alzheimer's, and your father pretty much, has been placed in a home because he's far gone with Alzheimer's. So, so this is pretty much a labor of love. I have family members myself that are affected by Alzheimer's. So, having two therapeutics was very profound that we can now take this into the clinic. The first one, ALZN, the lithium co-crystal. Well, lithium has been marketed for years. It's been approved by the FDA for bipolar disorder.
Yeah, I saw Britney Spears is on it.
Exactly. And if you suffer from major depressive disorder and you're going to be hospitalized, the only therapeutic that you can use really is lithium, and it's global. So when we talk about lithium in general, not only is it used for psychiatric disorders, which is PTSD, depression, and bipolar, and mania or suicidality. You also have it for neurodegenerative. It can be used for, and it's been proven. Just Google lithium and just also go to clinicaltrials.gov and you'll see it's been proven in clinical trials that lithium affects Alzheimer's positively, MS, multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's, Huntington disease. It also can affect traumatic brain injury as well. So, there's a lot of usage for our drugs. So getting this into patients is really us just checking a box. We applied to the FDA saying, with our IND, what we're looking to do is really compare our lithium in a phase 1 to show that it's pretty much the same, if not better, than the current lithium on the market. It has a better safety profile. And so what that means is that it had greater bioavailability and greater biodistribution, which means that the way that the drug moves through the body is better, and it prevents or it alleviates any kind of side effects in general. So it makes it a better therapeutic. So having a replacement to the current lithium on the market, and lithium has already been proven to affect Alzheimer's disease positively. There's 3 biomarkers, disease progression, for Alzheimer's: neuroinflammation, tau phosphorylation plaques, and beta amyloid plaques. It's been proven that lithium affects all 3 positively. And in our preclinical trial, it reduced all 3 in the Alzheimer's mouse model by 50%.
Wow.
So lithium has been proven. There's 3 mouse models that's affiliated with Alzheimer's, and lithium affects, it cleared up the tau phosphorylation and beta amyloid plaques and neuroinflammation in all 3 mouse models positively. So we know how lithium carbonate performs in animal, and we know how lithium carbonates perform in humans. So now having our lithium, AL001, outperforming the current lithium in animals, then check a box, we know it is going to outperform the current lithium in humans and potentially becoming the replacement for the current lithium. And that patient population extends way beyond Alzheimer's. It goes from 6.2 million people affected by Alzheimer's. You have a little bit over 13 million people affected by PTSD, a little bit over 16 million people from depression, and then you also have a little bit over 6 million for bipolar. So the patient population is close to 40 million, and that's just in the United States alone. Globally, that's about 400 million people.
I encourage everybody, I strongly want to say this as strong as I can. I'm asking you kindly, make sure you read the prospectus. It's not that old. The company went public on June 15th. You should read the prospectus. Everything that Stephan is talking about is generally covered under the prospectus. We would encourage you not to do anything without reading that prospectus. Why do I have Stephan on? Because I get tons of texts about the price of stock. And I know you think it's relevant to me. First of all, I can't sell it. I'm restricted. Second of all, I'm not a seller. People don't know this about you. We're going to cover it on a podcast. Now, and I get this wrong all the time. I get this wrong all the time. But you're actually a nuclear scientist, right? Is that what you are?
Well, I majored in steam and nuclear power plant designs.
Right. Okay. So
yes.
I was kidding. Okay. So, but
I realized I didn't want to do that when I graduated college.
And you worked at Novartis.
I worked at Novartis Pharmaceuticals for 8 years.
And I cannot believe, literally, the people that you have recruited to this board. Now, you set up the company. We set up the company initially together. We set up the company where you have a flat structure, where you're not spending a lot on overhead. And I got to be honest with you, at first I thought you were a little crazy. I'm like, Stephan, really? You're going to have almost no employees? Because I get a lot of feedback from that. Stephan has lined up some of the best. And Gary brought us Wozniacki and I believe McDade,
Yes.
Gary Gottlieb. And Wozniacki's basically told me, hey, this lithium product is incredible. There's a podcast they did with him. You guys can check that out. Josh will put it in the link if you guys want to see that. Wozniacki is a who's who in terms of Alzheimer's.
He is.
But you have brought people to the board that are amazing in this
fantastic.
space, right?
Absolutely, yes.
Do you want to talk a little bit about the team you've assembled? Because I don't think people realize you've assembled a massive team around the drugs. The universities are still involved. The professors are still involved. The scientists are still involved. You're like a United Nations of Alzheimer's, right? I mean, you really have a big team you manage.
So the team we have the inventors for AL001 and AL002 out of USF.
Sure.
We have our CRO. Basically, that's where our immunologists, pharmacologists, toxicologists, regulatory specialists. So a team of about 10 people. Under TAMNet, and that's basically where our scientific, which would be our chief medical officer, chief scientific officer, they're all residing on that team, which is great. And then on the board of directors, we have a woman by the name of Dr. Lynn McGrath, who used to be the head of regulatory for Novartis Pharmaceuticals, and she's very well versed in the regulatory process of developing drugs. We also have a guy by the name of Jeff Oram, who used to head the New Jersey Pension Fund.
I like him.
Under the Chris Christie administration.
He's
fantastic.
He and his wife are very sharp.
And so he knows so when you talk about financing, it's great. We have a guy by the name of Mark Gustafson on the board, and he is CFO of a publicly traded company out of the UK. He resides in Vancouver, Canada, and he is great for our audit committee. So, so you have to have those people.
And you have the
part of your
neurologist,
board.
Dr.
And
Andy.
so we have Dr. Andrew Wu,
Yeah.
who is Brown University, MD, PhD, neurologist, and he knows everything in and about Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, MS, ALS, just neurodegenerative diseases in general. He's great to guide us in terms of, being an advocate and a KOL. Well, key opinion leader.
I probably got more excited. Him and I flew on that jet together to ring the bell.
Yeah.
And I got more excited probably about Alzamend after listening to him than I did the last 5 years, because he's talking about how AL001 could possibly be used in so many different parts of neurodegenerative diseases. He was the one that brought up MS to me.
Yes.
Right.
Well, the good thing about, lithium is for mood disorder.
Sure.
And so when you think about patients that they get Alzheimer's, they get really agitated. You've experienced that with your
father,
father and mother-in-law.
He's gotten a little violent, right?
Yeah, and so this really helps. So not only do you have a drug that actually affects the disease, the progression of the disease, but it also helps with the psychological effects of the disease as well. So this is great. We're very excited about it. And just having a replacement for lithium, it's something, it's going to be like the new happy pill, potentially.
So you disclosed that, the company disclosed that the vaccine, AL002,
yes,
you filed a pre-IND with the FDA, right?
So we filed a pre-IND with the FDA on July 28th.
What are you allowed to say about the vaccine? And I don't know, and I'll give you a moment to think about it, that's in the prospectus. What can you say about the vaccine? Because I know something about it. I'm pretty excited, and I believe the public knows, but I don't know that everyone's paying attention.
They don't know yet. So what's been disclosed about the vaccine is that it's an immunotherapeutic vaccine that pretty much it's adjuvant free, so it has no primer, so it allows the patient's immune system to combat Alzheimer's disease. So what happens is that you remove the patient's blood from their body, you mix it with our cocktail, a mutant peptide solution, and then you put it back into their body. And what that does, it creates beta amyloid antibodies within the brain and pretty much reverse the effects of Alzheimer's. It's going to be revolutionary if this actually worked, because in the Alzheimer's mouse models, it actually reversed effects of Alzheimer's.
Wow.
So that would be, Nobel Prize winning.
Yeah.
So we're very excited about that. So we filed for our IND. We should be hearing from the FDA this month, later this month. And we're looking to file our IND in by November 30th.
So it's possible that by the end of the year, You have a treatment for 15 different indications, AL001,
Absolutely.
including slowing the progression of Alzheimer's with AL001.
Yes.
Which, if it got that status, would be incredible. But the patient population is around 40 million
40
for the
million.
first drug. Obviously, the patient population for the vaccine is about 6.2.
Yes.
But both those huge shot on goals that you'll migrate really quickly. Now, I know you can't talk about specifically the term unmet need, but maybe you could educate the public as to what unmet need would mean in the world of drug creation. What does that mean, unmet need?
So when you say unmet need in the world of drug creation, is that when you see for example, and we talk about AL001. AL001 have a plethora of indications, right? So we're going after Alzheimer's. The reason we're going after Alzheimer's first, as our first indication, is because as an unmet need, when a drug is characterized or a category is unmet need, it means that the FDA will be working with you closely to expedite the process of getting that drug through the regulatory process. So because Alzheimer's is an unmet need in the United States, what you can do is once you prove that the drug is efficacious, that there is efficacy there, not just safety, then and you get what they call breakthrough designation, the FDA will work with you to cut down on the development time to get that drug through market. So, it's kind of like COVID-19 vaccines. How they were able to expedite that process.
How does all that brain power fit into your one head? How does all that smartness fit into one head?
So you get it. So basically, what we're doing is that although we have a lot of different indications, we go after Alzheimer's first because it's an unmet need, so we can get this drug to market as quickly as possible.
Sure.
But then we follow up with the other indications, like the low-hanging fruit. We automatically know that the end of our phase 1, with our results, is going to show that it is a replacement to lithium. So technically, we can go after bipolar disorder because lithium has already been approved for bipolar disorder.
Right.
But we will be filing INDs for bipolar disorder, PTSD, and depression in 2022. We're going to go after all four of them.
There's about 3 million people that I understand presently on lithium, right?
Yes.
So that's a big market just there in itself, right?
At $204 a year.
If you were just safer than lithium, the current lithium, you could replace the current lithium market, and they wouldn't have to get a blood test based on your drug.
It'd be valued at over $1 billion per year.
Wow, it'd be a very valuable drug.
It would be a blockbuster drug. Yes.
If you replace
just replacing the current lithium
and the
for
current
bipolar disorder.
And the current study you're doing now
Yes.
is head to head against lithium, right?
Yes, it is.
So you're going to know whether yours is safer or not theoretically.
Absolutely.
Okay, pay attention to that, folks, because this is why I own this company. This is why I founded it. And this is why Gary helped me recruit this man. We're going to answer a couple other questions that I see coming from the audience. I really want you to listen to what I'm about to say, okay? We all know I'm a stock guy. A lot of you guys are stock people. You trade, and you see a stock run, and then you immediately see an offering, right? And you go, wow, they just diluted. That's a big offering. Happens after it runs and kind of slows things down. So, Stephan, you know that I wanted to do it when you went public to make sure you had the money you needed. To the best you're allowed to talk about it, you don't need any money right now, do you?
Don't need any money for a good 1.5 to 2 years.
Now, but I want to be clear. So he's saying he doesn't need money to conduct the studies. He doesn't need to do an offering. But Stephan, if the stock rallied to 50, I'm going to tell you, sell 1 million shares and raise $50 million more, right?
Yeah, and I would probably decline that.
I'm not suggesting, by the way, the stock is going to 50. I'm not having any targets on that of any kind.
It would be offensive not to know your value.
Yeah. I just want everyone to know that when the company went public, and I was the chairman up until the day it went public, then I left and my partner took over as chairman. He has much more venture. And Stephan runs the company. Let's be clear. He runs the day-to-day. Stephan is a CEO that works, in conjunction with me at the parent company. He's very autonomous. Stephan is a very detailed, good manager, and I'm really excited about that. Question for Stephan is, the new cleaner lithium, is it easier on the kidneys than existing lithium? Lithium has been notorious, which causes chronic kidney disease. Funny part is, I think I know that answer, but I know you have to answer it in a scientific, more.
It's good to be king. That's correct. Basically, if you're on a lithium regimen, you take 300 milligrams of lithium carbonate 3 times a day, which is really destructive to the renal glands in general, liver, kidneys. And so what would happen is that you have to have your blood monitored. With our lithium, it's a lower dosage. And because it is co-crystallized, you're able to administer a lower dosage and you get a higher therapeutic index. So we'd be administering our lithium potentially once a day, which would be a less exposure of lithium. And you wouldn't have that issue with actually having to have your blood monitored. And it would minimize the side effects and the damages to your internal organs.
So you're comfortable saying, comfortable saying to the market, and you've said this already, this isn't new news, we don't need money for at least a year, right?
And a half to 2 years.
Okay, but let's back that off a little bit, and let's tell all my audience, hey, I think you're safe for 12 months. There'll be no offerings of any kind. The company reserves the right to have an offering. Obviously, if it ran and they wanted to raise the capital, they needed to complete everything, they would. But your scenario is that you think you'll have partners by then, big pharma, stuff like that down the road. So you think maybe that may not be a need for that.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of contacts and connections within the larger pharmaceutical space.
Well, you came from Novartis.
Exactly. And so with that, as once you prove that, you have safety and efficacy, I think the goal really is to kind of, work with a larger organization that can help expedite the process to get these drugs, to market and commercialize the products, because, we really need them for our families as well as the other families around the world. So definitely. But, we're not opposed to really taking this out ourselves and commercializing it and, starting the process. So either works. We'll have a lot of options.
Yeah, you have a lot of options.
So that's great.
I think someone's asking, can you verify the study is 6 months? I know that's a tricky question, so I don't know. I don't understand that part.
We've already publicized whatever we put out. It's gold and it's law. So we've already said that it is a 6-month study, relative bioavailability study, which at that point we'll know the dosage that we need, for our phase 2 study.
Right.
And because so right now we're in healthy patients, but the next phase of clinical trials we'll be going into patients with the disease, so Alzheimer's patients.
But interestingly enough, while you're in the first study, you have the vaccine coming online.
We do.
So you'll be doing 2 simultaneous studies, AL001 in patients, AL002 possibly in patients.
In patients, and then also moving on to plan the next phase of AL001.
Let me fantasize for a second. Guys, I'm going to fantasize, okay? Do we have any fantasy music here? Let's see. What do we got here? We can...
Journey. You have Journey?
Perfect.
This, I want to be clear with everybody. This is just a hypothetical. Read the prospectus. But the vaccine, I know the creator of that vaccine.
Yes.
I was the first one to call him and say, Dr. Chow. He was on Sanjay Gupta.
Yep.
Called him up on the phone. Hey, Dr. Chow. What would it mean to the world if that vaccine just worked a little bit?
Per Dr. Chow, he's brilliant. And so he has helped a lot of larger pharmaceutical companies with their immunotherapeutic vaccine, just correcting the process. Sure. I mean, this would, I think we're into something that's massive. It would be Nobel Prize winning for Dr. Chow. He has studied this.
He agreed that you and I and him could be on the cover of Time together.
He studied this extensively for over 15 years. Sure. There's a lot of work that's behind this. There's a lot of work that we're continuously doing for this product, and we're very excited to get it to the next step. So we're very excited to hear from the FDA and potentially move it forward. So there's going to be a lot of news within the next couple of months.
It's
coming
good to
with
be the King says Todd hasn't been this excited since his Shake Shack run at the airport. You remember in Utah? That was so good. Yeah. I love that guy. We sat last night at dinner and we talked about how I'm disappointed with the fact that the early shareholders are selling. Clearly, there's people putting information out there that I'm a seller. I want to be completely clear. I have never sold a single share of Alzamend. On the day it went public, I accidentally pressed the sell button twice for a few thousand shares, and I bought it back immediately. I have never sold a share of any Alzamend at all, ever. Whoever says that is completely a liar. They're passing false information. I own more shares today through the various companies and my own personal account than I ever have. And as I recently reported, I converted 150,000 of my options. I kept them, and I paid the taxes on them so I could keep the stock. Okay, so anybody saying anything about me selling is wrong. But one of the things that we talked about at dinner is I was disappointed that it was selling off so hard. And then you pointed out to me, yeah, but it would be different if we needed to raise money.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. You told me you don't even look at the stock.
I don't. It doesn't, and it's great, So part of raising money and being a part of a biotech or a startup in general, you do owe it to your investors, your early investors, for them to have liquidity.
Sure.
It's unconscionable not to provide.
Well, they still
them.
have like a 20 bagger though.
Exactly.
That's why.
It's not
right?
for them not to have the options, right?
Because they bought some stock at 20 cents, right?
So they've gotten it such a lower price that
Right.
now that we've gone public, it's up to them. They can now control their own destiny, and so it's great for them to have that option. So yes, if they want to sell, hey, we're still going to persevere. We're still going to get the drugs in the clinic. We're still going to prove, that what we have is something viable, because we're not just doing this, for, the world. We're doing this for our families as well. So I think, with that, as we get it out, we're going to prove to everyone that, we do have something viable. That's what we're doing. That's what we're moving forward. So
I don't know what they mean. Am I lending my shares out? No, I'm not. I don't know that I'm letting my shares out. That's a good question. I see a question. How does this compare to Biogen? And I'm just looking at some of the questions that are interesting.
how does it compare to Biogen?
Yeah. How does what we're doing compare to Biogen? Unfortunately, I know your answer privately.
Well,
It's funny.
Exactly.
It's funny. Everything you've ever said to me, I want to. No, I'm not going to let him answer this.
No,
No. Let me answer.
Let me answer it first. So prior to getting this job in 2018, I actually created a spreadsheet with all the companies within the Alzheimer's space. And I went down and checked the box and said, this drug is garbage, this drug is garbage. Eventually, you'll see the stocks are going to fall. This company's falsifying their information. And I've been 100% correct thus far.
Okay, you're claiming victory. So it is a true story that Stephan, I thought, was a little arrogant when he came to work with me. Before he got the job, I said, well, there's a list of people that are trying in the Alzheimer's space. He goes, yeah, I got that list for you. And he dogged Sava, SAVA, ANVS, Biogen's drugs.
No, not all of them. Not all of them.
What? You didn't dog all of them?
No.
What are you talking about?
And I've dogged all the drugs that have thus far failed, beta amyloid,
Right.
therapy. I questioned those and dogged those.
Okay.
Not ANVS. No. Anovis. No.
You didn't dog
yeah.
Anovis.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. So I apologize.
Not Anovis.
Okay. You did dog. I know you dogged Sava. You told me.
I have.
Forget that. And for Biogen, you told me complete and utter. I won't repeat it. You did.
It's a special drug. Unfortunately, with the side effects, associated with it, it's a little.
Let me
difficult.
word it a little carefully. You just didn't think that they materially moved the bar forward.
Absolutely not.
That's better,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Right. Let's continue.
I agreed with the subject matter experts within the field concerning the drug. So yeah.
Hey, my mom just got on here. Anastasia Ault. Hello, guys. Alzamend Neuro.
Fantastic.
Good. That's good. What else do we want to cover before we wrap it up today? This is a special edition of Risk On.
You tell me. Any other questions?
No, I'm gonna try to answer all I can. This is a special edition of Risk On. I personally wanted to get on the show and thank Stephan Jackman, the CEO of Alzamend, for doing the thing he told me he would do. He promised me that we would have a shot on goal with AL001. I know a lot of people, Dr. Wozniacki and others, that really believe in the drug. And I told Stephan, your number one goal was to get these drugs in patients because good things happen in the clinic.
Mm-hmm.
And no matter what happens, you're treating patients. That's exactly what wanted to happen. I wanted to publicly say that to you. Thank you so much for getting that done.
Very welcome.
I love the model you've created where you're keeping the team flat, because it's interesting. Since your team is flat, you can simply replace someone if you need to, right? You don't have these long tail contracts. You're able to be nimble. You're able to keep the burn low.
And the overhead is extremely low. Everyone who is on the team, they're working on the drug. So I would probably say about 95% of our capital goes into developing the drug. And it's not overhead of having a chief marketing person, et cetera, et cetera. We don't need to market a product at this point. There's a lot of people that we don't need to have on our team. We will in the future, but until we get there, which would be, our next raise within a year and a half to 2 years.
Mm-hmm. What would be some important dates that you're allowed to tell the market that they should be looking for over the next couple weeks and months?
Well, we said November 30th we're going to be potentially submitting our IND.
That's the IND for the vaccine.
For the vaccine,
and normally,
for AL002.
And normally when you do that, 30 days from then, you're cleared to usually go in patients.
Once the FDA gets back to us and give us the go-ahead, we'll be able to dose the first patients for that. We submitted.
Can you imagine how exciting it would be to have... Skyla,
that'd be great.
How exciting would it be that a vaccine is going into human beings sometime December, January, February? How exciting could that be?
Because we submitted the IND for AL001 June 30th.
Right.
The FDA got back to us within 25 days.
Right.
And so September 10th, we dosed the first patient.
Right. The world is looking for something to help people with Alzheimer's.
I think we're all looking for something.
Right.
And I mean, it's great as we get older and as we live longer. It's just going to be something that's going to be, afflict. I mean, just affect just about 1 in 4 people. Mm-hmm. is going to be affected by Alzheimer's, which is, I mean, it's catastrophic when you think about it. So, and by the way, we're going to be doing another risk-on in the future. I'm going to be planning it for you, where we actually have some KOLs. Key opinion leader and subject matter experts, because I know that, I get calls just about every day.
Sure.
From friends or old colleagues, like, what are you working on? But also, what do you do if you have a family member or a friend that's diagnosed with Alzheimer's right now? There's a lot of resource out there from the Alzheimer's Association, but at the same time, a lot of people are being treated by the primary care physicians. Neurologists are not really, as available. And it's something. It's like, well, what do you take? What should you be on? What are the messages there? And what are the medicines? And I think it's great to kind of, have something here, so the world can kind of see and have some kind of a resource. I think it's great.
Someone asked a question: Are these dates you knew prior to going in a public forum? All the dates that Stephan talks about are in the prospectus.
They're all in the prospectus.
Yeah, you guys, the prospectus is available for everyone to read. It's something you filed before going public.
Google.
And I can tell you, Stephan. No, we have it. We're going to have it in the link.
Okay.
And I can tell you, Stephan is very diligent on disclosure.
Yes.
And only includes me at the last minute, and then I get a little restriction. I'm not allowed to buy. So, I found out you're going into patients. You blocked me out for 3 days. I didn't know where you were going. But you did tell people, hey, AL001 is going to go into patients.
In September. So we said it's going to be. We said it's going to be in September. I can't
tell you how excited about this.
Yeah.
There are stock options available that trade publicly on AL001. I think the stock is below $3 right now.
Is it?
Oh yeah, Alzamend is below $3. I think people are selling. The initial people. It's not going to matter to us. We're focused on the outcome of these drugs, and I'm excited. I'm excited to be a massive shareholder. I'm the largest shareholder with all the stuff that I can control, and you have a big stake yourself personally. So this
Somewhat.
Somewhat. Stephan's making it clear to me he wants more.
Somewhat, but okay.
Come on, man. Come on. Hey, let's see. Do we have any other questions here? I want to see if I can go and answer any other questions. Can you scroll up and down for me?
It's good to be king. Does it make it? Hold it. Is it? It's good to be king. Does it make a difference if the patients are COVID vaccinated, or that's not a non-factor? But if it does, the RNA or MR, so we can't disclose that.
Yeah, I guess not.
That's our clinical protocol. So,
Right.
yeah,
Hey, I appreciate everyone's
of how
time
we've had our
today.
patients. But thank you for the question.
Stephan, I'm so grateful that you flew out from here from Atlanta to see us. Is he available?
Yeah.
He's right there.
Oh, let's
Yeah.
have him dial in. No one told me.
Yeah, Jason's. Yeah,
He's letting y'all
There he
do your
is.
thing. He's
Hey,
here.
Jason,
Jason.
can we make him live?
Live?
Oh, we can hear you now, Jason.
Okay, sorry. I was just being stealthy, listening to all the great nutrients from Stephan.
Jason, Jason, I know you're a shareholder. You bought some stock in the open market when you had some windows. What did you think about what Stephan just said? I know you're a big fan of it. Obviously, you and I are friends, so I probably got you convinced that it's a great investment. But let's not do that. What did you think about what Stephan had to say? Do you have any questions for Stephan?
Well, 2 shots on goal, and then the vaccine, which has been under research and development for, I don't know, 8 times the amount of the current vaccines available for COVID. But I won't get into that. The research and development that's going on right now, University of South Tampa, the dosing of patients. I mean, the prospectus told everyone the timeline and what they were going to do, and they're just executing. I mean, I don't know what else you can ask for.
Jason, how often do you get a CEO on? I'm biased that tells you what he's going to do and does everything he said he was going to do.
It's already.
And yeah, exactly, Stephan. And then the stock sells off and just gives me more opportunities, and it gives investors more opportunities. I'm not recommending the stock, but from a standpoint of risk reward, my personal belief is this is definitely worth the risk reward. Again, I'm not recommending the stock, but do your own due diligence. But look at Alzheimer's, the conglomerate, dementia, bipolar, PTSD. The entire group of dreadful diseases is, I think, a top 5 killer. Maybe I'm wrong, Stephan. Is that accurate?
It's it's number 6 leading cause of death
number
in the United
6.
States, but number 1 with patients over 65. So, yes, you're correct.
I believe I believe, Jason, it's one of the most feared diseases too, right?
It is the most feared disease.
Oh, scary. Yeah, you don't want to forget things, right?
Well, not only forget. I mean, eventually, you just lose the will to. The ability to eat.
Yeah, my dad can barely eat.
So yeah, and then eventually the ability to breathe.
Sure.
So you just pretty much just waste away. So,
Right.
usually when unfortunately, when you do have a family member who has the disease, you're like, hopefully they perish. They go really quickly.
Well, yeah.
And morphine drip them out.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes it takes a good 20 years, which is it's devastating.
Hey, Jason, I wanted to cover real quickly before we wrapped up for the risk on audience. I kind of feel a heaviness to the market. I'm not referring to Alzamend. I'm talking about, in general, the market. What do you think about where the market is right now? What is your thoughts? You told me you thought the NASDAQ was rolling over a little bit. What are you thinking about the market right now?
Yeah, very heavy, overvalued. A lot of the S&P large caps. I'm seeing a little bit of activity in the commodity sector. But again, if SPY's going down, if the Dow's going down, the NASDAQ's going down, where's the money rotation? Well, it could go into crypto. I do know that. Obviously, we had a press release today regarding implementation of Bitcoin miners into our data center facility. We're bullish on crypto. It could also go to precious metals, junior miners, established miners like AG. Those tickers have been depressed, beaten down. Possibly look for that. I watched a video from Keith Neumeyer, the CEO of First Majestic Silver. Silver is at a deficit right now on an annual mining basis, whereas we're getting about 800 million ounces of silver out of the earth, but we're actually using 1 billion ounces of silver, and that's going to scale up as countries implement internal combustion engine removal or no longer producing those internal combustion engines, and we look to EV vehicles, where EV vehicles use silver at a ratio of 3-to-1 versus the internal combustion engine. Also, scaling of solar, over 1 ounce of silver in each solar panel on the earth. Massive biomedical utilization of silver, antimicrobial. Also silver, the best conductor of heat. Don't let anybody fool you, it's not copper. So yes, silver is my undervalued asset. It's been anywhere between $9 an ounce to $30 an ounce generally, with a couple of runs to 50. But I mean, at a ratio of 70 to 75 to 1 gold to silver ratio, whereas it takes 75 ounces of silver to equal 1 ounce of gold, yet you are having silver being pulled out of the Earth's crust at a ratio of only 7 ounces of silver to 1 ounce of gold. So figure that out. So here we are. I like silver.
Hey, for full disclosure, we are long AG. I think we own about $3.5 million worth of AG. That's because Jason likes it. As clearly he was just telling you we're long First Majestic Silver. Hey, we appreciate you guys' time. Jason, any other commentary before we take off?
Well, we saw the inflation numbers come in about what they expected. CPI does have an effect on everyday Americans. You're looking at oil, WTI crude at over $71 a barrel. That's going to have an effect on the cost of living. So keep an eye on the inflation. I know.
Last night, Stephan pumped a tank of gas for me in my car, and it was over $100. It was $100.
It's $100.
Yeah. So in Vegas, things are getting more expensive. Hey, special thanks to Jason for calling in, Skyla for being here with us today, Nick and Brett, thank you. But most importantly, and one of the most important investments I have on my books, and one of the things I look forward the most, because I would like my wife to live, I am so grateful to Stephan Jackman, the team at Alzamend Neuro, for getting the drug into patients. He's done every single thing I've requested him to do without question. I don't have to prod him, poke him. He goes and gets it done. He's got a great team. I'm super proud of him. I'm happy to feature the stock today. It's important you guys do your own research, read the prospectus, talk to your financial advisor. I think it's a leap, man. Who can buy a stock for $3? That's like an option, but it doesn't expire. I am more bullish on the future of treating Alzheimer's than ever, and that's because of this man, Stephan Jackman, and his support for my dream, which is to treat Alzheimer's in some capacity. He continues to look. He continues to work with the research community, the University of South Florida, Dr. Chow, Dr. Wozniacki, Dr. Zararaco, Dr. Scheidel, all the people. Thank you guys so much for being here, Stephan, from flying out to Atlanta. I mean this. This isn't a commercial for me, guys. I literally think this is one of the most important things that I'm funding and working on, and we set this company up to not need money so Stephan could focus on the future, and he's executing. Thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow, guys.